Hey everyone, it's Miss Mayorga. Here is a video on Lesson 7, Sprites. Go ahead and make sure you have your digital notebook open and that you're logged into Code Studio. If you need the links, you can always go to our Schoology course page and it'll be in our weekly folders. All right. Lesson 7, Sprites. Our central question, how can we use sprites to help us keep track of lots of information in our program? And our objective for this lesson is create and use a sprite. Right. We're going to be working on bubbles 1 through 11. We're going to skip bubble 9. We're also going to skip bubble 10. This one's optional, but I do recommend that you do at least 2 of these on your own. Bubble 11 is the one that I'm going to be grading, and bubble 12 is an optional challenge. All right. Make sure you message me when you finish this lesson so that I can check it and grade it. Let's get going. All right. Bubble lesson 7. We're going to go ahead and start with bubble 1. Sorry, I got distracted. Bubble 1. Let's go ahead and get started with bubble 1 here. This is the overview, so go ahead and move on to bubble 2. All right, bubble 2, exploring sprites. This program uses some new blocks that you haven't seen before. Do this with your partner, with the teacher, with the class. Read the code and discuss how you think it works. Change some lines and see what happens. What do you think each line of code is doing? Okay, let's check it out. Let's see what we have. So this code right here produces what we see on the screen, apple and a carrot. Let's see what's going on. We have variable fruit, create sprite, then we have set animation blocks, and then we have this draw sprite block. This first block is going to create a sprite, and we'll see what that is in just a second and in the video, but this one is going to create a sprite. I'm going to remove the set animation block just to see what happens when I remove that. What do you notice? What do you notice happened? I'm going to go ahead and replace it. If you removed it yourself, I just press Control Z to undo that so that the block would appear again. So again, I just dragged it out to remove. Let's see what happens. And drag it back. Just set that back. Okay, what is happening? What do you think that set animation block is doing? It has something to do with the image, right? When the block isn't there, we see a gray square. When the set animation command is there, we see the apple. And then we have this draw sprite block, right? I'm going to go ahead and remove it and let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and put it back. What do you notice? What happened? What happens when the block is not there? I'm running the program. What is happening? Yeah, so hopefully you noticed when the block is not there, when this command, draw sprites, is not in our workspace, then nothing gets drawn. The sprites don't show up. The animations don't show up, right? Let's go ahead and continue. Continue. Bubble 3 is a video, so go ahead and pause my video, watch the video on Code Studio, and then come back. All right, welcome back. Let's continue on to bubble 4. Hopefully you've already watched the sprites video. Now we're moving on to bubble 4. Sprites, creating sprites. This create sprite block creates a new sprite and assigns it to a variable. The default name is Sprite, so you'll want to change it to something more meaningful, right? So the label is Sprite. You can change this label. For example, if your sprite is going to be a dog animation, maybe you can name it dog. If it's going to be vegetable, you can name it vegetable, right? Drawing sprites. Sprites only appear on the screen when you draw them there. Calling the draw sprites command will draw all of your created sprites on the screen. Do this. This program includes comments that let you know, oh, sorry, I have not restarted this. I don't think I restarted the rest of them. All right, give me a second. I'm just doing something over here. All right, do this. Add our var sprite create sprite command under the comment creating sprites. You can ignore the yellow triangle warning for now. It's just telling you that you haven't used your sprite. So go ahead and go into the sprites drawer right here. And then go ahead and drag this create sprites command underneath the creating sprites comment. I need to reset the rest of the bubbles before we get to them. We're on bubble 4. Okay. And now we're going to add a draw sprites command under the comment drawing. So go ahead and go back to the world drawer, drag that yellow block underneath that drawing comment. And when you hit run, you should be able to see the code or the gray square on your screen. You're going to see the sprite on your screen. All right. There's a little hint here that's really important. Sprites are drawn from their center, which means that the center of the square, not the top left corner, is at 200, 200. So when we were drawing shapes, rectangles, and ellipses, when we were drawing rectangles, we had to think about the top left corner to determine the position of the rectangle. For ellipses, it was about the center. For sprites, it's also about the center. So the center of the sprite is at 200, 200. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to bubble 5. Continue. Sorry, I'm like resetting the other bubbles on my other screen. All right, bubble 5, debug. This program should create 2 new sprites, one on the left of the screen and one on the right. But it's only drawing one. You don't need to add any code, just rearrange the code already present to make sure both sprites show up like the picture on the right. So let's click run. We only see one sprite. Go ahead and figure out which block do you need to move around so that both of the sprites are showing up. Hopefully you said the yellow draw sprites command. We're going to drag that to the bottom. Right now, what you're telling the computer is, hey, I created this sprite, draw it. And then you say, hey, I created another sprite. But then the computer was never told to draw the sprites. So we need to drag this sprite, draw sprite command to the bottom. Now we reset and run, and you should see both of the sprites showing up, right? Okay, let's go ahead and continue on to bubble 6. Bubble 6. Sorry if I'm looking away. I'm looking away because I'm resetting the bubbles on my other screen. So I keep looking over here to reset. Okay. Adding animations. Here's where we get to the fun stuff. Adding animations. This program draws 4 sprites on the screen, and one of them has an animation from the animation tab. All right. Do this. Run the code to see what happens. So here we ran the code. We see that we have an alien and 3 gray squares. Look in the animation tab to see what animations are available to you. Feel free to alter your animations or choose a new one. Let's check it out. An animation tab is on the left side of your screen. Towards the top, you're going to see code and animation tabs. Go ahead and click on the animation tab. And then you're going to see 4 different animations that are already loaded into your files. Right? So we have alien, bunny, flybot, and plain red. For this bubble, we're going to go ahead and use these 4 animations, and eventually we'll talk about how to add new animations. But for this, let's use these 4. Go back to code, your code tab, and we're going to use the set animation command to change the look of our other sprites, right? Our other sprites are just gray squares right now. They don't have any animations set to them, except for the bottom right. Take a look at the way that the bottom right is setting an animation, how that block is being used. Notice that the variable label is bottom right sprite, and when we want to set an animation to that sprite, we have to use that name, bottom right sprite, bottom right sprite. So we want to do the same thing for all 3 other sprites, top left, top right sprite, bottom left sprite. These are very long names, so I'm sorry if it gets confusing which one I'm talking about. But go ahead and go into your sprites drawer. Go ahead and go into your sprites drawer. Grab this sprite.set animation block, the red command, the red block. And we're going to drag it underneath our first variable, which is top left sprite. So we got that there. And now we need to change this label. It has to match so that the computer knows that we're referring to the top left sprite, right? So make sure that says top left sprite. Careful with the capitalization. You can also just Control-C copy and then Control-V, paste it in there so it's exactly the same. And you need to change one more thing, which is the file, the picture, the animation that is being set to that sprite. So this little drop down arrow is going to show you the files that you can choose from, the pictures, the animations you can choose from. We've used alien. I'm going to go ahead and use bunny, but you can use another animation on the list if you want. And now, if I reset and run my program, I should see the bunny appear. So go ahead and pause the video and try to do this with the two other sprites, the two other variables, sprites, that we haven't touched. So the top right sprite and the bottom left sprite. Pause the video and try it yourself. All right, welcome back. So hopefully what you did is you dragged another set animation block underneath our var top right sprite, changed that to match top right sprite, and chose a different animation, right? I'm going to choose Flybot for this one. And now I have the Flybot. And I need to do it one more time for bottom left sprite. Dragging it right there. Bottom left sprite. Double check your spelling and your capitalization. And I need to choose a file. I'm going to use plain red 1. And now I have all 4 on my screen. If you made them all bunnies, that's totally fine. If you made them all Flybots or planes or aliens, that's fine. As long as you have 4 animations on your screen, you're good. Right. Let's go ahead and continue on to the next bubble. Okay. So I think this is definitely going to be a 2-part video just because I want to walk you through a couple of things. Bubble 7 is a video. Please watch it and then come back to this video. All right. Hopefully you watched the video on bubble 7. Let's move on to bubble 8. Debug some sprites. This program draws 3 sprites to the screen, but it's not working yet. The wrong sprite is in front, and one sprite's animation isn't showing up. Do this. Run the code to see what happens. So go ahead and run the code. And then fix 2 problems in the code. Hint, just like shapes, sprites are drawn in the order they are created. All right, so let's check out our code. What's going on? First, we're telling the computer we're creating a sprite called message. Then we're setting that animation to that text file, right? We go to our animation tab. We have 3 different animations. Text get ready, ice cream, soda. So first we create our message sprite and we set the animation. Then we're creating a drink sprite and setting an animation. And then we're creating a dessert sprite and trying to set an animation here. But something's wrong. What's wrong? What do we need to fix? There are 2 things we need to fix. Okay, hopefully one thing that you talked about was the fact that this says drink, but it should say dessert, right? The reason we're seeing an ice cream instead of a soda is because you're telling the computer, or not you, but the code. The code is telling the computer, hey, take this sprite called drink, set the animation to soda. But then the computer reads another instruction that says, oh, here's drink, set the animation to ice cream. So it's going to take your most recent instruction, which is ice cream. So that's why we see the ice cream, not soda. But the mistake here is that we actually meant to set dessert sprite to ice cream. So this should say dessert. Right, dessert. And when you run the program, now the soda appears and the ice cream is on the right side. But we still have one more problem. Our get ready or message is behind both of our items. How do we fix that? We need to change the order, right? Hopefully, I'm imagining you saying we got to change the order, right? So we do need to change the order of some of these blocks. And remember, first step, we told the computer to draw the message and then everything else is going to get drawn on top. So we actually need to draw the message last. So I'm going to take these 2 blocks. You can drag one at a time by clicking and holding, or, oh no, it disappeared. Or you can go to the side a little bit, click and drag your mouse to highlight multiple blocks at the same time. So I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to drag both of these blocks at the same time down to the bottom. Not all the way to the bottom, but right here. So now we have draw the drink and draw the dessert and then draw the message. Let's reset and run. And there we go. All right. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up here because our time is running out, and I'll pick up the rest of this lesson in part 2.